It's showtime. We're here. It's Practical AI, episode 32.
Let's go.
We got more good stuff happening this week. It's all going to legal and security realms at the moment. And I don't love that.
The boring stuff.
I don't love that. But we're going to balance that boring stuff out with a really great workflow, a vibe marketing workflow that anybody can apply. Like it doesn't really matter who you are. Even if you are in business, you are de facto in marketing. Marketing is coming for you, whether you like it or not. So today's workflow is super applicable for anybody. And what I like about it is that it's going to take us beyond like AI has this tech veneer about it. We feel like it's tech heavy. But this vibe marketing workflow that Olga is going to illuminate for you guys really takes it beyond the tech and makes it sort of an intention and like a human desire thing. It's like if you have the desire and you have the intentions, you can create the outcomes. So we're moving past the tech just into this thing of like getting things done, deliverables, that sort of thing. I love that. I can't wait to get into that. Olga, what else do we have today?
Well, there's a lot going on in the news. So we're obviously going to start with that. We're going to talk about what's happening with the news in the world. So that way you all cut up, you don't have any FOMO. And then we'll dive straight into the workflow of now that everybody can vibe code. Let's talk about vibe marketing, because you can vibe code all you want, but this day and age, if you don't do any marketing on that, you're cooked, as LLMs would say. So on that note, we've got a lot of news to cover, and we'll finish up with funding. So lots of good things are happening in the funding as well. But I think overall, as I'm looking at the news this week and the trends that I'm seeing, is we're definitely seeing more mature, like the AI is growing up and it's becoming more mature, and we're having more and more conversations that I call boring and unsexy. But hello, oh, I'm jealous. Hello from Rome.
No, he's home from Rome.
Oh, he's home from Rome. Okay, yay. Well, listen, I'm still jealous that you went there. So anyway, so there's this big trends happening. So last week, let's dive into it. So last week we talked about Anthropic getting in the hot water with the Pentagon, with the White House, the government, and all of that stuff. So what happened, and if you didn't know what happened, is Pentagon asked to remove some of the safety, what are they called, guardrails from AI, and Anthropic said no, and Pentagon went ahead and said, well, then we don't want to work with you. And
you're a supply chain risk.
And now you're a supply chain risk, which, like one thing, if they didn't want to work with them, that's one thing. But now that they called them the supply chain risk, all the defense, basically any Fortune 100, 500, whatever company that works with government on the defense part now cannot use Claude. And that's a big problem for Claude, because Claude has a lot of enterprise clients that obviously use Claude in their ecosystem. And so Anthropic did not like that. And so they sued Pentagon. So they filed a lawsuit against wrongfully being called the supply chain risk. And Microsoft is also in the former CIA head of CIA, I forgot his name, but he backed them up as well. So they are sort of like, being the cheerleaders on and Anthropic's kind of backing them up. And I was just thinking, I was like, Microsoft is in bed with OpenAI, which OpenAI is very happily collaborating with Pentagon. They happily signed that agreement, right? With the government. The government doesn't say we're going to do some unlawful things. The government says we're going to use AI for all the lawful reasons. Now, this could mean all kinds of things. But Microsoft is backing Anthropic in this with the CIA, head. But Microsoft is also very pro OpenAI.
Yeah, they're like competitors. So why are they backing Anthropic?
That is very strange. But then this little thing that I saw in the news, and I don't know if you saw this or not. Let me see. Here's the other piece of news. Apparently, 90% of the Fortune 500 companies adopting Microsoft's Copilot, and Claude is now integrated into Microsoft's Copilot. And 90% of the Fortune 500 companies adopting it. So here's what I'm thinking, and this is my tinfoil hat or coincidence, that Microsoft now got in bed with Claude to be embedded in Fortune 500 companies. But now if most of those companies cannot use Claude, now Microsoft's whole thing is kind of like, what are they going to do? You see what I mean? So
I mean,
isn't that a coincidence?
About all this stuff. They're positioning, they're hedging bets, and they're positioning for victory. You know, they're positioning for market share.
Right. So like when I saw that, I was like, well, Microsoft never does anything because Microsoft is a good guy. So what are they getting out of this? Well, this is what they're getting out of this, because Claude is now part of the Copilot in Microsoft, which is integrated in Fortune 500 companies. And if Fortune 500 companies cannot use Claude, that's a big problem for Microsoft. So anyway, that's kind of my my little story. So what?
Well, I kind of like that, because this is the first evidence we've seen. So there's this idea that if the Pentagon says you can't work with Claude, well, then there's going to be a lot of big workflow shifts away from Claude. But obviously, like I'm not shifting away from Claude. My God.
Yeah, but you're not you don't work with the government.
I'm just saying, if some of these engineers in these companies are going to be like, oh hell no, we're not switching away, like that sucks. So I feel like this is the first big scale example of getting out in front of that and like trying to mitigate these shifts in workflows. That's be really disruptive at a time where we really need to be building, not shifting the platforms on political basis. That's crazy.
Yeah, but at the same time, like if a Fortune 500 company is dealing with the government and then now their government telling them you cannot do that, they're not going to lose that contract. So like anyway, this is a big mess. I don't know how long this lawsuit is going to last. I don't think it's going to be very quick resolution. So meanwhile, the whole marketing strategy of Claude that was hinging on the Fortune 500 companies is at big risk from government. But you know what's crazy to me? So here's what I was thinking, like this whole, I get it. They are like all politics aside. If the government's defense department, like I don't see Boeing or what are some other big defense contractors that
Raytheon.
Like you don't see those companies making big deal about what the government does with their technology and how it's being misused. I'm just very confused why an AI company suddenly now ask questions that other defense contractors, I don't see them asking. I don't know. Like that's very strange to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it. Yeah. I think, if you're Boeing, if you're Raytheon, your stuff is being used as instruments of war. Like from a PR perspective, it's best probably just to say nothing. So I think that's why you hear nothing from them ever.
Well, anyway, I'm just
position. You don't have to say squat. Your livelihood is protected by the nature of these gigantic government contracts. You don't really have to sell to customers. You don't have to win
that's what I'm
anybody
thinking.
over.
Like, why is the AI company now making a big deal out of it? Like, yes, you are dealing with the government. You are dealing with the defense department. Like, you are going to get used in the war. Like, what? I don't understand. Like, why is it so confusing for them? But
yeah.
Anyway, we will follow this story on our live as it unfolds because it's been very entertaining. Now that we are on it, so apparently trust in AI has a huge plunge. So the study came out. Do you remember whose study it was this week?
Let's see. Anthropic has research on the jobs getting hollowed out. That was
no. Oh gosh, I need to open
the disinformation campaign.
No, it's the trust plunge that Americans trust AI less than they trust ICE.
Oh yeah.
It was some kind of research that was done by CNN. No,
I'm looking. We got the rehires, autonomous tasks, lawful use.
Keep going.
I'm not seeing it. I know I saw it. Multi-agent code review, federal civilian guidelines.
Okay, NBC's national poll released March 9th showing AI 26% favorable, 46% unfavorable. Net score, NBC. Net score is -20, which is worse than ICE at -19. So -18. 56% use AI monthly, but 57% says the risk outweigh the benefits.
First of all, who are these people? Who's saying the risk of AI outweighs the benefits?
Well, who is NBC researching? I don't know. Like,
I got so many questions here.
Yeah. So first of all, I thought that was fascinating that people are thinking more negatively about AI than they think about ICE. I thought that was the most, by whatever. So that was interesting to me. But the adoption trust gap is real and getting awkward. So I wonder why more than half of Americans use AI regularly, but they don't trust it. Is that skepticism?
I don't trust that data.
Okay, well, there you go. Anyway, this is the news. So that's kind of I thought that was interesting. That the public trust.
I want to hold on to this thought though that people are either disgruntled with AI or skeptical of it. I'll bring this back up with another point that seems to be a trend here this week. But
all right, okay, all right. So going forward, so what else happened this week? So there's a lot of interesting things that happened with security, patching, code review. So OpenAI, Codex security, they began autonomous vulnerability patching. So you know more about that. So what can you tell us about? What does that mean in like human terms?
Well, basically, security with the code that AI writes is a concern.
Okay.
And another part of this is that if you write code in a big company, in a corporate context, compliance is a big deal. Part of their compliance chain is always these security audits to make sure that, like Target doesn't have 5 million customer records exposed, in these ugly breaches, this kind of thing. So they have stopgap measures in place to protect against that. A lot of this, these AI run, if they're trying to like shift over production to AI, they don't really have that full old workflow being involved there because you're just shipping large amounts of code really fast.
Okay.
So there's big security concerns over like, well, is this stuff creating these huge holes? And by the time we catch them, all this data is going to be already exposed.
Okay.
So now Codex has a feature where it's doing autonomous vulnerability patching. So it'll test for exploits and then it'll go back through the code and refactor the stuff that was vulnerable or that was,
And who is this a good news for? Like the coders, big companies, like who is excited about this? Like translate to me because I just don't.
Well, I mean, like OpenClaw guy, Peter Steinberger would be excited about this.
Okay.
Potentially, this is somebody who's vibe coding a big thing, trying to move very quickly. And one of the biggest thing that's going to slow you down if you're moving quickly is having to stop and refactor for security concerns.
Okay.
Another thing that's come up in association with this is that when you do security audits, a lot of times the AIs, like when people have run these little tests to have it refactor, it will start messing with the code in a way that actually affects the way the whole program runs. Right? Like we now have security, but the user experience now sucks, or the the program is slower. There's negative consequences. So we haven't achieved a good balance there. And basically it's just nerds working through the normal pains and stuff that we got to deal with.
Gotcha. All right. Well, another GPT 5.4 breakthrough this past week. It cleared human benchmarks for desktop work. So I think the exact data was, so basically like this is for if you have any desktop work where you move your mouse or, you have to click certain things. So now apparently OpenAI is not much, but it's better than a human on that.
It's so 75%. The human baseline is 72.4%.
Yeah,
I don't know what that's measuring.
Right. So this isn't almost as good as a human on the test. It actually passed the human score on the test. So what does that mean? So that means autonomous desktop agents are now production capable for repetitive computer tasks, which means that's all you have to do is repetitive computer tasks. Your job is I mean, that's kind of like, that's next, right? So now this agents, this computer can do this kind of work for you. And
I feel like
so,
somebody's been talking about this.
huh?
I feel like somebody's been talking about this.
I know. So what makes me think about this, if you are doing this kind of work where that's all you do, start thinking about how you can become more of a human in the loop versus actually doing the just like the repetitive work. Because I guarantee you, in a couple months, that's going to be outsourced to a computer. And remember, remember that guy that got fired from X for talking about how XAI was already doing that. I forgot what it was called, but he went on a podcast and talked about how XAI was already developing that, where the computer was doing the AI was doing the desktop work.
Yeah,
And then he literally got fired the next day. Remember that news?
I do remember that. I think he just, probably shouldn't have.
Right, but I think a lot of AI companies are working on something like that, because that's going to be basically like, I mean,
Oh, I think there's no question about that. I mean, these are real obvious, like low-hanging fruits for these companies to attack. But so, like a question that comes up when we examine this topic, like AI is doing repetitive work on the computers. What parts of these processes are natural points for humans to be involved?
yeah.
These are things like judgment calls. AI can surface concerns, but then somebody has to decide on those concerns. That's a point where a human intervention makes sense.
Right, and that's actually the point that I read about, was that they're making the sense that this is like a lab environment where you just kind of do the things, and there's not a lot of decisions being made. But what happens when there's that weird one case, or this weird one case, where humans usually know something weird about it, and then they will be like, okay, this is what I need to do. So this is a lab environment, not the real environment, and we know once this gets into the real hands of companies, nothing is perfect in those companies. So systems and information and people and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that works in the real world.
I've got my Claude Code trained to bubble up scenarios like, okay, if we do it this way, here's what's going to happen. And so we have a discussion before implementation. Whenever these decision points arise, I want to make sure that it is not making decisions. I've had a couple of instances where it's like, oh, here, we just implemented this, and I review it, and it's like, oh my God, this is not it at all. Like this could have been done another way. This was a decision juncture, and we have to have a discussion before we just start implementing.
Right. Well, that's right. Interesting. So now we're talking about Claude in the loop, right? And this is have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Anthropic now launched local autonomous task scheduling that can run up to 3 days without going to the cloud. So, and it's not the same as you just said, but I think that's kind of fits very neatly into what you were talking about, is that you don't even need the cloud for 3 days for this kind of task to run. Why does this matter? Like, does this matter at all? Are you excited about this?
I don't know. I was trying to think about like potential use cases for me. Like, when would I use this?
Well,
And within the context of building code and software, I'm just not really seeing it. I think there's probably some corporate level type processes where you do stuff repetitively that does involve code, where this would make sense. Like, let's say a new batch of data gets dumped on you like every Monday, and then there's some processing you do in the wake of that.
yeah.
A loop would make sense in that case. It could always test when the new data is available and then perform some procedure without needing a human to initiate the process. That kind of thing makes sense to me, but like, I'm not sure how applicable that is broadly.
Based on what I understand, it's not going to require tokens to go up to the cloud. So it's kind of like free. It's like running on your local system, and for up to 3 days that you can do that for. So I don't know.
That's right. That's probably the key thing there. It's not incurring inference costs.
Exactly. So if you've got some kind of system that you're maintaining, that's kind of interesting. All right, moving on. More news about Anthropic. Anthropic basically they released another report where they looked at kind of the jobs that are the most at risk at this point. They call it job hollowing. And basically any AI exposed tasks that are like 94% math tasks, that those jobs are going to be more and more automated by code. So that's kind of what they've been revealing, as well as any junior positions in any way. So I think we talked about this a month ago or something like that. The junior roles is usually where the promotion pool happens for companies. And now that AI is getting more and more into the junior positions of companies, the hiring of junior talent has slowed down a lot. And what that means is that we are not going to have a lot of pool to promote people from. And I'm actually not sure how those junior reps of any sort are able to, how are they going to get the experience they need to actually be hired? So
this is an amazing 100-year trend line. So I've mentioned before, my favorite author is Thomas Sowell, but one of the topics that he talks about in his books quite a bit is minimum wage. So how minimum wage actually hurt low-skilled people from developing skills on the job. It shifted that. It said, okay, well, now they're going to have to learn this in some trade school because employers can't afford to pay the minimum wage for them to learn on the job, when previously they would have made a meager wage while picking up critical skills. And he's saying that hollowed out the low end of the workforce and really puts these people at a disadvantage who can't go to school and get the skills. Maybe there's not schools to get the skills, but they also can't reasonably be hired into these positions. It's like there's a missing development gap there.
There's a gap, right? There's literally a gap.
But it hasn't gotten any better. Not only has it not gotten better, AI is now attacking this as well. It's a real, it's a real situation.
You would think that this will be mass layoffs happening, which that's coming. But it's like mass layoffs happening, and then we have the erosion of the talent at the bottom, right? Like that's how my first job, I was an intern at a translation company at $10 an hour or whatever it was. But I was an intern, and I was the junior person that had to get that experience to get promoted down the road and move up the scale. Like, if that's not going to be the case, how I don't know. I
was talking to my daughter in the car yesterday, and I was explaining, I was like, I really think we're reaching a point in history where humanity's kind of bifurcating. You're going to have two classes of humans. There's going to be the ones who are super powered with AI, who are the de facto upper class of the future. And then you have everybody else. And I don't really have anything positive to say about it other than, by God, I hope I'm part of that upper class, and I'm making sure that I'm aligned with that, because it doesn't look good. Yeah. I don't know, there's no other spin I have here.
Well, again, we're not trying to create any kind of chaos over here, just reporting what Anthropic honestly is sharing about their studying and their surveys. We have a comment here. I read a statistics that 600,000 jobs lost to AI, accurately possibly over hiring in the first quarter of 26 so far. I wouldn't be surprised. I wonder if there is a way for us to track this. But maybe there is. I don't know. What's the tracker?
There's government statistics that kind of serve for that, but I don't think they're very trustworthy. But we do have some pushback against that coming up. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. So right quick in here.
But before we do that, I wanted to mention 3 roles that Anthropic highlighted in its report that were at risk.
Yeah.
Which would be programmers, analysts, and customer service workers. They singled out those as being especially vulnerable. And I have to say, I agree. So,
and it's interesting that the most the programmers and that used to be the most prestigious, roles and things that you wanted to learn and have the job in there. And now those are the jobs that are coming down the fastest. That's
it's interesting.
Anyway, so also interesting news. Once the government uninstalled Anthropic with OpenAI's uninstall of the app has gone almost 300%. So, which I guess it's you can call it. What do you call when people boycott? Yes, they're boycotting it.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
So Anthropic searched to be number 1, and ChatGPT's uninstalled went to 300%. So,
but I mentioned earlier, I said I want you to hold on to this thought. This is more evidence of the phenomenon I want to reveal here. But people leaving OpenAI, ceasing usage after they get the Pentagon deal. They creep in there and swipe that up.
Mm-hmm.
This sort of reactionary usage.
Yeah, I mean, no one reports about how many installed them back.
I know, but hold on. Here's what I'm saying. That type of action is something I call a negative position. It occurs from a negative position. You don't like what somebody has done, so you do this. You fear this particular outcome, so you do this other thing to avoid it. Those are negative operating positions. Those are fundamentally weak. I don't even pay attention to that stuff in my realm because that's just such a pathetic operating position.
Yeah.
But the deal is, with AI stuff, I want to encourage the audience to always check your frame and make sure you're operating from a positive operating position. You want to make decisions from a positive position. Things like, I want to achieve this outcome. I'm using this tool to achieve this outcome.
Yeah.
No other concern should be driving that ship. You know, what you want to achieve is a positive position. What you fear is a negative position.
Well, and this is what Dharmesh talks about, right? It's you to the power of AI. It's you not competing with AI. You do not want to compete with AI. I don't want to be competing with AI. AI is amazing at a lot of things it does. I want to work with AI to be even more powerful. So that's kind of, that's the boat I'm in. But moving on, let's finish up the news right quick. So we talked about this, public variability, yada, yada. Oh, this is interesting. So AI-driven rehires. So this is kind of to piggyback on what you talked about. So another research or study that came up. Do you remember who said this? That what's the source?
Let me see. OrgView. I don't know who OrgView is.
Yeah, OrgView reported that 32% of companies that cut for AI had to rehire. So their research found that a third of companies that made headcount cuts expecting AI productivity gains had to rehire because integration gaps, training costs, and process failures killed the projected savings. So they bet on AI efficiency. They fire people without thinking too hard, I guess. The math looked amazing in the spreadsheet and very ugly in production, and the pattern is predictable. The tool works in the demo, but breaks in the edge cases. So nobody trained on the failure modes, and the human who knew the workarounds are gone. So 68% apparently didn't have to rehire. So obviously 32% skipped something specific. So I'm not sure we should be using that as a benchmark. But I guess the point here is maybe don't fire people before you have a plan on how AI is going to work and how exactly things are going to happen once people are gone.
Well, I have a skepticism when I look at this stuff. It's like, if these companies fired people,
of course you do.
The only justification for firing people to give that work to AI would be because you have a proven workflow. If you have a truly proven workflow, this is something that has to be battle tested. So to me, it would have been in production for like 6 months or more.
Right.
Really have a handle on it. Do we really think any of these companies have a legit AI workflow in production for 6 months at this point?
I will take a no.
I'm going to go with the under on that bet. Yeah, definitely going with the no. So,
I don't even know if left hand knows what the right hand is doing right now.
This is just FAFO at scale. I'm just here for the, give me my popcorn. Before we finish the news, I do want to say I need a t-shirt that says AI less favorable than ICE or something like this. I want that.
Yeah. Anyway, this is funny. Another interesting news is that there's this controlled study or something or a case that was done where 500 agents autonomously ran a propaganda simulation, and they call it the agent disinformation, where agents just ran around and created a propaganda campaign with zero human direction. And so I was, I think it was USC Vertebrae ISI simulation showed 500 LLM agents autonomously coordinating a propaganda operation, amplification, targeting, and narrative building, no human prompts required. So multi-agent systems are capable of emergent coordination, apparently. You don't need to intend disinformation. You just need agents talking to each other without oversight checkpoints. For anyone running automated content pipelines or multi-agent marketing workflows, this is the part where you ask whether your system has a human checkpoint before anything goes public. because the catch is this is a simulation. In the real world, LLM agents have more friction. And so I think it's fascinating. Have you seen that visual, like where you give the same prompt and say, do not change this picture, leave it as it is, ran 100 times. And it went from being one color face person, woman, to another color.
Oh yeah, I did see this.
Like unrecognizable. I don't even know what that was at the end. And it's kind of, what is that kids game called when you say one thing and then you kind of like whisper?
Telephone.
Yeah. And so this almost is like that. So like that's another reason why, well, I think there's a couple of things. There's that going on because like hallucination and agents talking to each other. And I don't think agents necessarily are malicious, but I also think how much, if even one starts hallucinating, what does that do with the others if there's no checkpoints?
Right, downstream, the hallucinations get amplified. But honestly, are we sure this is news, or am I just reading a script for Black Mirror?
Maybe, but my point is, this is the real. I like that this kind of stuff is coming out because it makes us think. Like, I don't want this to be my real life situation where my agents are operating autonomously, and then I find out something they posted on my behalf that I didn't agree to.
It sounds like a pretty cool game. I'm going to spool up a few dozen agents this afternoon and see what we get.
Well, but another thing I also thought about, what do we know about training of those agents? Like, how are they trained? Right. What kind of values do they have? Do they have I'm good at heart kind of training, or do they have, you know, achieve your goal at any point kind of training? Like, this is also very interesting. Like, I have questions like, how were they trained? What are they doing? I don't know, because it's the AI is only going to do what it's trained to do, you know?
Well, I just was at an AI Abraham Hicks conference. They were really talking about AIs trained on growth mindset, so I'm hoping that's going to lead the way.
What
Abraham Hicks.
Anyway, what is this code review jump? Do you want to talk about that? The tripled code reviews?
Okay, so Anthropic has an internal multi-agent system for code and PR reviews, and they claim it boosted the rate of substantive reviews from 16% to 54%. That's a really big jump. That's it went from like a cute idea to something that's actually useful. And Anthropic built it for themselves. It's used internally for their own stuff. So it's not like this is replicable.
Right.
Companies at this
I mean, it's running. It's like, what are you talking about? It's a framework of vibe coding, framework code reviews. Of course, it's going to be amazing if it's run on their system with their own code, with their own everything.
By their people.
By their people. Like, I mean, I'm like, okay, great for you, good for you. But what about the other companies that don't have framework set and they're vibe coding their way out of everything? So I'm like, I mean, good, great.
I mean, I just look at this stuff. I kind of cringe because this is what companies like. They want to see that their code passed some report. Because that makes the executives feel good. But like, as the guy who makes the stuff and runs it, I just need it's actually working out there. I just need to see it work. I don't need a freaking report. It doesn't make me feel good at night. I don't have to show investors.
Listen, their house is in order. It's a lot easier to show off a clean house and how things are efficient and done versus like going and trying to teach it to others.
Well, my favorite is when you have all these glowing reports and then your stuff still hits the fan.
I know. Anyway,
what was the point?
Another interesting piece of news that YouTube expanded likeness protection for public figures, for politicians and journalists. So basically all that means is that
journalists.
Journalists. We are in the election year. And apparently the fake AI videos have been going crazy. So now all that means is that YouTube has oh my gosh, what's the word? You can bump up your review faster if you are a politician or a journalist. So that way the fake news wouldn't be spreading as fast. And so I thought that was fascinating. So if you're a creator, don't worry about it. Your stuff could be faked anyway. Like, no one cares about you. But if you're a politician or journalist, there would be some consequences. And another thing that was interesting about it is that if you are creating fake AI videos, make sure you start labeling them. So that way you're not going to get banned without, Yeah,
that was a recommended action. If you have AI generated videos that are parodies or whatever, in the description of the video on YouTube, for example, you should put that this is AI. It's sort of like the ad disclaimers on social media back in the day, you'd have to say it's an ad. That's their recommended source of action. But I am watching this. I'm going to watch this space and I'm going to see, because this feels a lot like the same people that post on X and then close comments. Like a bullshit signal. Like if you're having videos taken down because you're having AI parodies, clearly you're humorless.
Yeah.
We'll see who does that. I'm sure a pattern will emerge that will tell us a lot about the people involved.
Well, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's kind of good that YouTube does that. So that way there's not a lot of fun. I mean, I feel bad for like boomers and like older people that believe everything they see on the internet about everything. I was actually in Miami 2 weeks ago, and my friend's mom sent her a video of something was happening in Russia, and the video came from Sora or something account, and her mom was really excited that was happening, and I was like, it's a fake AI video. But she had no idea. She thought it was for real. And I'm like, how many older people are going to get taken advantage of because they just don't understand that that's actually fake, right? It took me a second, but I don't know.
This is why you gotta have kids and grandkids. You got a teenager around and what's real.
We'll tell you what's up. Anyway, so this is all the news, the big news of this week. So as we can see, it's a slow week for the news, but there's a lot of things foundationally happening as it's being integrated into the workflows and into the companies. I actually think OpenAI and Anthropic rivalry story is very fascinating, and how they're almost swapping. OpenAI now is with government. Who knows, maybe their strategy now is going to get more into the enterprise as well, and Anthropic is going to be less of that. I don't know, but who knows? We'll find out.
Will any of that matter? Will the pace of this whole thing pick up to an extent that all these things are rendered moot later?
I don't know.
All these outcomes are in play.
All right, well, let's do all right, bye, Casey. Let's do the deep dive for today.
Yes.
So
vibe marketing.
So what would I start? I'll actually start here. So I constantly watch for interesting things to try and use in my business, and everything I do, I try to apply to what I'm doing. So I watched this interview with Boring Marketer and on HubSpot's Against the Grain, I think that's what it's called, Marketing Against the Grain podcast. Yep. And he was talking about vibe marketing there, and he kind of walked through his workflow. And as I listened to it, and you and I actually listened to it in the car for a little bit, as I listened to, remember that?
Oh yeah. It
was last week. And as I listened to it, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually sit down and I'm going to do what he's talking about. And I'm a big user of web application of Claude and Codex, but I was kind of scared of the code. The terminal for some reason freaks me out. I don't know why, because it's like, it's dark. It's weird, command-like.
It feels computery, techie.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be here.
And so I was kind of, worried about it. And then I was like, okay, but I'm going to do it, because he says he's non-technical, which I think he said a year ago, he's never opened the terminal either. And I was like, oh my gosh. But he's very technical now, I think. So I am also very non-technical, as Chris would say. So for me, this was a big jump. So I wanted to do it. I'm going to put a note in the description so you guys can watch the video. I highly recommend it. Very interesting. But here's what I did. I am currently, I applied this workflow of vibe marketing to my actual company that I am building right now in AI space. I haven't talked about it on the show. I kind of mentioned it a couple of times. But basically, I wanted to see, everybody vibe codes. There's a lot of talk about vibe coding, but when it comes to vibe marketing, it's kind of like all over the place. And Vibe, Boring Marketer, he talks a lot about vibe marketing, and he's got interesting workflows. And I was like, I'm going to try it. So the company that I'm building is called SalesUpLevel. And I came up with this idea last year when I was actually with our son at Walmart, when I kind of looked around and I realized that there's no more cashiers. They're all the automated checkouts, lines. And I remember thinking, what happened to all those people that used to work at Walmart in the cashiers lines? And it was like, it hit me so hard because there were no humans. There were just all robots or like all machines. And I was like, oh my God, this is already happening. Like the world is already here. And then later, I think it was later that week or the next week, I was on the call with a client I have a sales recruiting company. And he was telling, he's a very AI fluent customer. So he speaks he's very fluent in AI, and he uses AI a lot. And he was asking me he was telling me that he wants to have somebody who is AI native in sales as well. And I was like, okay, that's great. We'll help you figure that out. And as we started interviewing salespeople, I started realizing very, very few people understand what that means to be AI fluent in sales. People think that using ChatGPT makes you AI fluent, writing some emails or whatever, some prompts. Well, it's not. And so that's when the idea of SalesUpLevel was born. It's the platform that closes the gap between what the companies want in today's age of having AI native sellers and what the actual sales candidates can provide at this point, which is not that much because AI is overwhelming to start with. So SalesUpLevel is a platform where it's a sales gym, basically. You come in.
I love the term sales gym.
For 15 minutes daily, you use your goals, your customers, your whatever you work on to up level your sales with AI and increase your AI fluency in sales.
Well, you're building your own little AI workflows based on your actual data in the training.
Exactly. I believe courses don't work anymore. Online courses, I bought a gazillion of them. I never finished them. They become boring. Lectures in AI don't work either. The best way with AI the best way to learn AI is actually doing it. So that's how that's how you learn. It's like language. To me, AI is a language, and we're even using the fluency framework that, if you learn any foreign language like Duolingo or whatever, they always put you on different levels where you are, and they give you tasks according to that level. So we sort of incorporated that with AI fluency. So that way, you're starting at a beginner, I want to move to intermediate, right? And then you need to go through those steps using your goals to get there. Anywho, this is the story of what the company is. So I started using that because the product is 95% ready for MVP. It's about to ship. So I have to start thinking about marketing. So I thought this is a great time to start and use what Boring Marketer talked about. So do you think I described it okay? Did I miss anything?
No, I mean, I think the one-liner summary is that it's the AI-driven way to handle your marketing. Right. Because you've got a product to build. You've got other core competencies that you need to focus on. Yeah. You don't really have time to be shifting to total marketing role. You need a way to roll this out easily and effectively.
Yeah. So why not learn from someone who spent the last year, how he says, learning all of this and just kind of steal his prompts and his workflows, especially if he's giving it away for free. Spoiler alert, once I've done his free workloads, I went ahead and bought his actual skills because I'm like, I love this guy. I love his stuff. I want to use it. Anyway, so
you guys market something that Olga will like, she'll buy it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's good, if it gives me results, why not? So here's how we're going to do this. There's 12 prompts on the, that I went through. And for those of you who don't know, shall I just, I guess.
Yeah, show that HubSpot page. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, gosh.
I have it here too, but you probably want to control it.
Yeah, I do. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Can you see this? Yeah.
Yep.
So this is how it started. You guys can go.
Can you do the Command plus like maybe twice to make it bigger?
Command plus.
Yeah. That window has to be active. You have to have clicked on it. There we go. There we go. It's perfect.
Anyway, so this is basically like once you watch the video, it's a YouTube video. This is where you go. You put your email address and you get this insights from James. That's his name. So highly recommend doing that. And here's how you start. So install Claude Code, open your terminal. He kind of walks you through if you've never done Claude Code before. And actually, before I say that, here's why it's cool to have Claude Code on your terminal, on your desktop. I don't like organizing folders. I don't like saving things. I don't like creating folders. So by doing all of this on your desktop, you kind of cheat all of that, because Claude Code will create, I will show you what it created for me. It creates all the files, it creates it all organized, and it's all in one place, and you don't have to worry about any of that. And so it lives in one place where you can go and check it out.
I also want to offer a disclaimer here. So like, if you get into this, it's pretty technical. You're opening Claude Code. She mentioned the terminal and everything. And like, everyone has their own sort of fears and stuff related to that. I think Claude Code should be named Claude Operator or something else that doesn't imply the code.
Okay.
Because I'm sure that just the mention of code is like in people's way. And it shouldn't be, because once you have your workflow established, once you get through the procedure of setting it up, you have this super powered operating center. Imagine, like you've seen in the movies, like the mastermind at the control panel who can do all this amazing stuff. That is going to be you after you're able to get through this initial setup process. And the key is you can use AI to help you get through the setup process. That's what makes it easy. You're not left out in the cold here. You're not relying on other people. You're not relying on other documentation. It's not ugly. You can use AI to get through it. You can definitely do it. And what's on the other side is so worth it. You have to do this.
Okay, so can you see just my screen now without?
You see the whole desktop.
Right, but do you see getting started with this workflows? Because I minimized StreamYard.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So basically, this is like getting started. Super easy. I just followed what he told me over here. And here's the cheat code for me, guys. I use Claude literally in the web app, and I say, I need to do this. Teach me how to do this. I need to do this. Teach me how to do it. And so for things like how to even get started, like this part, like I could ask Claude to show me exactly how to do it. And that's how I got Claude. It's on my desktop. Then the second thing he talked about was he actually uses, so this is the terminal window. I actually went ahead and downloaded his Ghosty, which is the terminal that's prettier to work with. You don't have to do that, but I kind of like it because it looks a little bit more legible, like how to use it better. And so I did that. And then the first thing he says, so once you install the Claude Code, it's better to have a folder on your desktop like this one. You see over here? Where you kind of have everything that Claude does in that folder, because then you can always just do right click, go to services, and then you can start a terminal tab in there, like get Ghosty tab in here. And so once you do that, then Claude knows I'm working in that folder. So Chris, you interrupt me if I am getting ahead of myself at any point.
No, I mean, this looks good. Claude sets up a working environment. It tells you when you first set it up to like choose a folder for it to operate in as its like main hub.
Yeah.
It's a place for the stuff that it's going to create for you.
So remember, I'm creating a marketing, kind of the lead page and marketing stuff for my product that I told you guys about, right? So that's what we're doing. So the first thing he says you got to do is to create your ClaudeMD file. This is the memory of every project. So what I did here, this is my Claude folder. This is my ClaudeMD file. And basically what it is, I don't know if you can see this. It's probably
small, but it doesn't matter.
It's too small. But basically it's just about me, who I am, what I do. I'm not a developer. I think in outcomes and stories, not syntax. I move fast. What my businesses are, what my projects are, how I work, communication rules, current, context of what I'm working on. So I do all of that stuff. What good?
Hold on, you didn't open an editor and write this file, right?
No.
You just told the prompt and it made the file.
No. What I did is that I just asked. I said I want to create a folder about me, interview me. And I just wrote like who I am, and then it just kind of went back and forth, and then interviewed me.
That's the key detail. When you're working with Claude Code or any, like even in the Claude web app, when you're working with an AI, you want to, when you're going to create something, you want to have it lead you through an interview process. Here's the thing we want to create. Now interview me to get the data you need for this file. That is the absolute pro way to do anything like this.
And here's, if your brain right now is screaming, this is way too hard, trust me, that's exactly how I thought when I was listening to him talk. And my brain was like, this is too hard, da, 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 da. But once you see the outcome, just go through it. Like just follow the process and use Claude as your coach. So the reason this file is very important is because now it's a filter for everything Claude does for me that sounds like me and talks about things that are important to me. If you skip this step, you're going to create more of AI slop that doesn't really go through your own filter. So now that you've done this folder, this file, this is the memory of every project, and it will update after every session, and we'll talk about that more. The next steps he talked about is that we need to install 2 tools that are very crucial for marketing these days, for vibe marketing especially. One is called Firecrawl. It's a competitive website crawling, and the other one is Perplexity, which is research. They're both free to start. I did not add GitHub for Sal because I have PageMotor to deploy my stuff, so I don't really need this. But Firecrawl is literally, that's what I said. Went to Claude chat and said, I need to install Firecrawl. How do I do that? I need to install Perplexity Research. How do I do that? Because you need the APIs for both of those, and it walks you through how to set it up. The reason it's important is because then it starts pulling things. Claude Code starts pulling it in terminal, and then that's a lot easier than going and obviously manually searching things. Are you with me so far?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So once you install that took me about 20-25 minutes to do that, because I am not technical at all. I have no idea what I was doing. And then after I did that, then this is the workflow number 1. Again, this is in his free, giveaway that he's giving away. That's a competitor research and positioning. A lot of people skip this point, and I think it's very important that you don't. And here's why. It kind of finds the white space my competitors aren't owning, and it locks in positioning angle that is mine. So what that means is it's going to map out the market, and it's going to show me by using Firecrawl and Perplexity who are the competitors in my space. And for each competitor, it's going to pull the primary headline and core value proposition, main messaging, and the audience they appear to target. So here's what I literally did. I posted, I copied this prompt. I went to my Claude Code, and I would paste it over here. Right? And then it will go and work. I'm not going to do it right now because I've already done that. But, or shall I do? No, I don't want to do it. I'm going to show you. So that was the first, prompt I ran. The second prompt was this, literally copy and paste. This guy spent a lot of time, figuring out how to do all of this. I'm just going to follow the trail that he already trailed. And so I literally did the same thing here. And then the final prompt was this prompt number 3. It kind of, picks where my positioning is. And based on these 3 prompts, it created a brand context file. And here's where it is. Are you ready for this? So this is my brand folder, okay? And this is my positioning. So this is the file it created based on all the prompts I just ran. Just to sum it up, you used to pay a lot of money trying to figure out what your brand positioning was. But in those 3 prompts, now I have this file. Obviously, I read through the whole thing. I kind of read who my competitors were, what are their 3 pain points were. And this file Claude created for me, right? So like it's done. And now everything I do is going to be run against this file. So for example, positioning statement, SalesUpLevel is the daily AI sales workout that turns individual reps into AI fluent sellers through 15-minute practice sessions on the real deals, $25 a month, no manager or enterprise contract required. My core message, this is all, it came up all by itself. I was just kind of reading the prompts and kind of giving feedback as it was happening. right? So core message is sales training is broken because it works like school, a one-time event, then you forget everything. SalesUpLevel works like fitness, short daily workouts, progressive difficulty, yada, yada, yada. So it kind of walks me through, this is my brand messaging. So now I've got this filter for my positioning, right? Why is this important? Because then this file will be referenced by all future workflows. Then you go to the lead magnet builder. So for your product, right, you got to create a lead magnet that converts. It's not a PDF, it's an interactive tool built and ready to deploy. This is very important because everybody is sick and tired of another PDF that you send, put your email for some kind of, I don't know, whatever boring, lead magnets are these days. So why not use all these workflows to actually create something that your users in this day and age will find helpful? So I went ahead and started, using this prompt again. This is literally, I would put load brand positioning NMD. I would copy and paste this prompt into my terminal. And see the instructions here? It's already using this document I just showed. So it's loading that document, and then it researches what lead magnets competitors are already offering in my space. And it looks for, all the things. Again, this is, I put the prompt and it runs for like, I don't know, a couple minutes. And then it comes back to me and it recommends, 3 lead magnets concepts that match our positioning angle, that not all competitors are already doing. Like, I don't know about you, I don't have time to think about all these prompts, and these prompts are really good. And for each format, title, core value delivered, and why it works.
Well, I want to make a point. There's a hidden benefit here that is so good that, it might be my favorite aspect of this. So not only is this a vibe marketing framework and you just follow the steps and implement the stuff, and you're showing that like you just copy and paste it, you're not even typing the prompts, it's all done for you. But within those prompts, if you actually look at what you're pasting in, you are seeing a masterclass in how to coax the AI to give you what you want to get good results. Using that little trick of loading a particular file in for context for this discussion. These are just the little things that really good people do. He closes with another one at the very end, and I'll mention it there. But like, there are so many things that pro operators do, little subtle things like that, that you might miss if you're not thinking about that. But that's embedded in this workflow too. So it's not just about the vibe marketing. It's like how to be a great prompter is also embedded in this.
Right. And so this is the second workflow, right, that we're doing. Then another thing I like about this is, do you see how short his prompts are? They're short and sweet and to the point, right? So, and very specific, because AI likes specificity. So it gave me a couple of lead magnets. I chose the number, and then I say, build this as a fully interactive HTML tool I can deploy, use tone and positioning from the brand positioning. This is why that file that Claude created in the beginning was very, very good. And save it as a lead magnet HTML. So this is all my sales lead magnets over here. This is all the research that I came back with.
So it's using these files that it creates to augment what its final output's going to be, to make it better and to have the information it needs to do the best job it can.
Right. So one of the things that it offered me to create was the quiz. And I already have the quiz created for, that was already my idea anyway, but it was interesting to see like what kind of idea it offered to me. So like, to me, it was like more of a validation that my thing actually worked. And so that was my validation. And then it kind of talked about landing page copy for the lead magnet, kind of write the landing page copy to promote this lead magnet, reference brand positioning for tone. So I'm not going to use this particular lead magnet because I already have it created, because that was already my idea anyway. But I want to show you how I build the landing page for my lead magnet that I recommended by following the workflow number 3 prompts. All right. So, and the landing page for my product, before building, ask me questions. I went through prompts and I said, save it as an index HTML. Tell me what design choices you made and why. And so here's my index. So here's my quiz landing page that it built. I forgot to show this. Okay, so basically this is the lead magnet that it created based on the prompts. Okay, so how fluent are you in AI sales? Again, this is all it did without me doing anything. It just happened to be matching what I was already thinking and doing. But look how beautiful this is. I mean, this is the actual, landing, like actual quiz to go through and do your thing and tie it to my product. What do you think about that?
I mean, so it's interesting to me because I'm familiar with the workflows of the past. You would come up with this within a company, then you would pass it off to designers and stuff for implementation, and then it becomes this really slow process. But here you've done this in a single session. You've got deliverables, you've got things to look at. You can really visualize the whole process from end to end in a way that is just different and clearly superior to the ways of the past. You were able to work through your ideas without needing to wait for something to be returned. It's like it's fresh. You're really kind of molding that idea like a ball of clay. That's becoming real where it kind of wasn't real before. It was like a quasi process before. This makes it a real process that you can sit down and tackle in a session.
Right.
And this is one of the unlocks from AI that I think we haven't stated enough on the show. When you get workflows like this that really power up what you're able to do, you start thinking about possibilities differently than you did before. You may have approached your company and thought, oh, we're going to be able to do this quiz and all that. But you also knew in the back of your mind that a lot of pieces were involved in the implementation of this and that it wasn't fast. And then maybe it wasn't going to work. Maybe it would, maybe you'd be able to do it, maybe not. This shifts that. And you start to think, not only can I do this, but I can refine this. I can make it incredible. I can definitely roll this out. You just start feeling a lot more powerful, but it's not vapor. It's not smoke. Like you really are more powerful. You can achieve a lot more. It's a wild feeling.
And all of these files, like it creates it on its own, and then it saves it where it needs to be saved. It also creates the actual MD files, right? Like in the brand thing, like all the MD files are there. So I can always go back to what we talked about, like about the quiz landing page copy, because this page is based on this document that we built, right? And so like you've got it all documented just in the conversation without even thinking about creating different documents in all kinds of places and keep it organized. So remember so this was my workflow number 2, right? So this was workflow number 2 deliverable. And then let's look at workflow number 3 deliverable once I put this 3 prompts in there, which is my index HTML file. I'm actually going to say, let's see if I'm a true coder now or not.
You just did a naked prompt? You wrote something in there yourself?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but
it's quite the risk here on a live show.
I know, but that's what we're going to have to do it. I hope I named it right. So ideally, it's going to pull up the file that it created, index HTML file.
I think it asked you a question.
Open it. All right, let's see. Do you think it's going to open it?
I don't know how it's going to open it, but I guess
it did.
Look at that.
So this is the landing page that it created after those 3 prompts. Then this is the index HTML. So this is the landing page for my quiz. So this is the landing page for my lead magnet.
I mean, looking pretty sweet. What I love about this, if you have made a web page design or something like this in the Claude web app,
yeah,
you maybe don't have like a good relationship in your brain, like to see how Claude Code could do something for you. It'll create a document on your local machine, which can then be pulled up in the browser and behave just like that artifact that Claude makes in the AI app. It's actually probably better this way. But you've got all that same stuff. If you want to like create a design, you can do that in Claude Code. It'll pull it up in your local machine.
Yeah. Well, that's what it said. And so after that, so basically like this is a ready page for me to go, like right to use. And then he kind of walks you through how to deploy it on the web, which I'm not going to do that because I've got page motor. But he kind of walks you through that, and so it's ready to go. But then this is not over. So not only now by doing all this prompting and vibe marketing, not only now I have my brand, my positioning, my competitor research, what are they doing, what are they not doing? I have my lead magnet created, which looks pretty hot. And then I also have my landing page created, which I didn't have to write any copy. I know Claude did all the research using Firecrawl and Perplexity to go out there in the wide web, whatever, and get all this information. I didn't have to write anything. All I had to do is review and say, this is on, this is off. It's kind of like more of my taste palette checking to see if I like it or not, right? Real life. So it's a conversation. I literally have a conversation in the terminal. And then the last step that's left is the one that I hate the most. I don't know about you. I mean, I know you like writing. I don't.
No, I don't like this step either. I'm with you.
It's an email welcome sequence, right? And so this is like, you've got your lead magnet, you deployed your page on your site. Now, what are you going to do when somebody actually goes through your quiz and signs up, right? So what it does, it converts your new leads immediately, a 3-email sequence that's on brand, non-generic, and built to drive towards your core offer. So I literally, again, did the same thing. I took this prompt I need a 3-email welcome sequence for people who signed up for this lead magnet that it already created for me, and then write the emails, for me. And let's kind of read. Do you want to read the emails that I wrote?
I wish we could have a show of hands in the audience. It's up to you if you think there's something interesting in there.
Well, I mean, basically,
just give me headlines.
Right. So basically, look at these 3 emails, right? So day 0, immediately after they complete the quiz. So subject line, you scored whatever level. Here's what that means. It also gives me A/B variant, right, to kind of test with things, because we know that's a good idea. And then preview text, one thing you can do today to start closing the gap. And then just talks. It wrote this whole copy. So now I need to review the copy and see if I like it or not, and then load it up in my kit. So whenever somebody signs up, I put the sequence in, put these emails in, and it's on. So it's running. The emails are converting. People are signing up. If they're not signing up, I can tell the Claude that there's something is off, and we can go and work on that. So I love that I didn't have to think hard about all the framework of vibe marketing. I had to follow the prompts and create, that this guy created based on his work of however many things he's created in his life. And then they just kind of like use it for my benefit without having to do all that extra work that he had to do. So this is just the 3 emails for my email list. And then he closes it up with the close session. He recommends every time you end the session, update the Claude file. Remember the first one that we created with what we built today, what worked well, what to improve, suggested next steps, and any brand context learnings to remember. And why is it important? Because every session you have is kind of the learning loop for Claude to work for you better next time. So anyway,
that's a pro prompting tip. So whenever you work with Claude Code specifically, I want you to think about it like you're building a house. You're laying more bricks for the foundation every time you work with it. Do not approach this like it's just a new, fresh thing every time. You don't want that. You want to show up every day, and that thing is smarter and more tuned into what you want and how you work than the day before. That last step is sort of his thing that's for vibe marketing, but the real gold is all the little stuff he does, bringing in the extra files for context for each situation, running little interview things to get to the right outcomes, refreshing all the data for the Claude instance at the end of a session. Like, that is the pro move stuff that is going to get your outcomes sharpened. It's like sharpening a knife. That's how you get better over time and build a real foundation with Claude Code.
So very good point. So to sum this up today, if you're watching this and you already have a product that you're building, 1000% recommend going through this workflow that he's giving away for free. If nothing else, try it and see the magic, because you can then go back and change anything you want. Because my first time I was doing other things, going back and forth, and it took me a couple hours to finish the whole thing. But for my next project and my next thing, I'm going to do this a lot faster. And now I'm hooked on how much work is being done for me. Like 90% of the work was done for me that I only had to review. And I also know these are the best practices that are working out there, because I follow a boring marketer. He does do really good stuff. So for me, like he's credible enough to follow his workflows. If you already have a product that you already market, I would still recommend go through this workflow, because then you can see, what are you missing? Maybe you're missing something interesting, and maybe you can tweak it, and maybe you can improve your conversion rates. But this is a very basic workflow you can do for either you're only thinking about product, you're about to launch a product, you already have a product, but run through this, use those prompts, see how well Claude Code organizes things inside your folder, because this is beautiful for me. I feel so like my house is in order when I look at this. And then you just build on this, because now I've got this stuff built on. So anything else I do on SalesUpLevel is going to be that much easier. So on that note, did I miss anything? What's your takeaway? What do you think?
Well, I don't think you missed anything. My takeaway is that what we just saw, you can think of it as like a workflow enhancement for you. I look at that and I think this is the marketing department of the future. It's been broken down into its basic procedures. I don't see how you can have marketing that's not really tied to the internet in some way. I guess you could have this view that it goes through socials, and there's like, but you got to have a point where people take action, which is the landing page and that whole integration. Email is still the primary means of communication. I mean, unless you got somebody Snapchat, and you're talking about young people, but this is it. That you just saw the new marketing department, all the instructions, all the procedures. You've got the documents that like is the output from your marketing department that you can refer back to later for other campaigns. You've got like at the end, if you run through all 12 steps that he gives you, you're going to have kind of like a stylistic blueprint for what your company does, how you do it. There's a lot there. I mean, a lot there. Like, I don't even think I'm touching on all the points that's really there. You're building a foundation for the marketing department of your business that's now AI driven.
Yeah. And I was kicking and screaming about using Claude Code, because to me, it just feels programmers do that. But then watching him do it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be brave enough to do it. And I did it. And now I don't even know if it can go back, because I like that I don't have to create files. I like that it's organized, it's thinking. And I like that I've learned from him how to do better prompting using files that I already have created before.
Yes.
How important that is to layer all of that in, because I don't know about you, but anytime I think about marketing, it's overwhelming. Like, where do I start? What do I do? What do I say? And now I feel like I've got a framework going, and I hope you implement it. Let me know how it goes.
So I think about this visual. I have this visual whenever I think about the marketing. I think about like, of the last 10 years, like the young girl out of college who was hired to run like your Instagram, but who was really good. Like she was a rock star at this. Okay. This person. She knew like what the people wanted to hear. She knew the visuals that were pertinent, because she's out, like her whole life is consumed by these visuals that are relevant to this types of things. That's why she's good in that role. She understands that nuance and knows how to apply it. But like, you needed that person in the past to be able to do this. Maybe you could get that person, maybe you couldn't.
Yeah.
But this is a way of proceduralizing that whole thing. Like, you can get this person through this, this fictitious person who's this amazingly adept marketer who's in touch with all the hot things. You can achieve that and like get all the outcomes done for you as well with this approach. It's incredible.
I mean, you saw the final products. I mean, they look They look really good to me. I mean, I don't know. Like
if this is not acceptable, I don't know what is at this point.
They just again, but that's the task you have to do. You have to train Claude, like what looks good to you, because some of the things that it initially came back was like I didn't like the font, or was too whatever. So I had to give him some feedback, but that's the whole point. It's a lot easier than trying to think from scratch. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So thanks, Boring Marketer. We appreciate you doing all that work, and go ahead and go download his stuff. It's a free guide. It's amazing, incredible, and use it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth running through. So I want to do this quick interjection. Ken brought up a point about AI and time, and I wanted to make this point on the show this week. I thought about this beforehand, but I don't know. I'm sure this is happening with others in the audience who have experienced this. It's probably happening with you. We haven't actually talked about this. It's definitely happening with me. My perception of time is changing. I can tell that my perception of time is changing. When I think about, oh, this thing I did on PageMotor or whatever, it seems really far away. And then I look at the date, I'm like, holy crap, that's not that long ago. Like I have this 15-year run of I can do this much work in this much time, sort of. It's like I sent out this update. Oh, that was actually 2.5 years ago. Like my output and time are correlated in my brain, and that correlation is being shattered. And I can tell it is, and it's kind of freaking me out. It's like I guess I had this subconscious understanding of how much I was likely to be able to do in a certain amount of time.
It's collapsing big time.
And now I'm doing a lot more. It's wild.
Yeah, exactly. Wild. And it's like, I'm actually excited. I'm going to do this for PageMotor. I'm going to do this for Revenue Hire. I'm going to do this for like other projects that I've got going on. And I just feel like I'm not overwhelmed about that anymore. I'm like, okay, I've got the plan. I also bought his skills, which I think is an interesting model. He's selling them as like a package, I guess. And I think the future, like, market would be approved vendors or somebody with credibility like that selling his skills. I think it's like he charged like $199, something like that for the skills. But like going through this, I'm like, I'm getting this for free. Like, what am I going to get to actually buy this thing, right? For my marketing and for everything else I have to do. I'm basically buying like a marketing team. So I think that's an interesting model as well, selling skills in the future of whatever it is that you're good at and build kind of your credibility around that for people to buy it. Because
no question. He's doing a really good job. I bet his bank account's not boring.
He is not. So he's definitely he's walking. He's I call it the bootmaker with his own boots. Like he's walking the walk.
Yeah, and, I really like that. Anytime you got that kind of alignment, it's really
nice. I mean, he's like, she's showing you what's up. Anyway, let's move. Are you good on anything else?
I mean, I do want to make one more point. It's like when you establish a new AI workflow for you, be it this marketing thing, be it a code thing, whatever it is that you do, you feel emboldened in a way that like, just, I've not really felt anything quite like this. It's like you feel super powerful now that you know you can tackle this thing. I've had a side effect. It's where there was things that I was facing in the past I knew I was going to have to do at some point that I was dreading. And like that stuff is kind of wafting away into nothing. And it's like giving me a lighter character overall. Like I don't fear anything now. I don't care how big of a pain in the ass it looks like. I know I can probably tackle this and not feel that much pain or frustration in doing so because I have some of these nice AI enhanced workflows set up that work for me. Yeah. So it's like you can't afford not to do this. You feel a lightness of spirit when this stuff, like we're not even aware of all the stuff we're putting off because we know how much it's going to suck to deal with.
Right.
You know what I mean? As soon as AI can pick up the leaves in my yard, I think I'll be completely good to go.
It's going to happen. We are building with it and it's exciting. Okay, let's move to the funding and
let's have some funding.
I'm going to share this. So this is our weekly tracker, last 14 weeks, I believe.
Give me that command plus 2 times.
15 weeks. So we've got this big outlier last week. We're back to normal reality in terms of like what the graph actually looks like with AI funding. Man, this couple of outliers really did the number.
Well, it's so interesting how it's like a rhythmic wave.
Yeah.
We got 2 more weeks and we'll have another big one.
Yeah, I mean, who is it going to be? I don't know. And then so that's our weekly thing. And then from this week, which is interesting. So we've had What do we have? 7.8 billion in AI funding. 73% went to AI.
Man.
80 companies raised money, and we had 15 mega rounds, 100 million plus.
What?
Regional breakdown. Believe it or not, Europe took the first place this week. They've got over 50% of all AI funding went to Europe with 3.9 billion. United States is 3.2. So we are behind Europe this time. Interesting. And then China is took third this week. Who are the top 5 AI companies? Nscale got $2 billion Series C. They're building AI data centers and GPU cloud infrastructure that companies use to train and run large AI models at scale, the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush.
We've seen companies doing identically this like the last 3-4 weeks. Just different ones, a couple San Francisco ones, like just, okay.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a lot of room.
Advanced machine intelligence, creating AI systems that model real-world environments from sensor data, machines that understand physical spaces the way humans do. That was a seed round, $1 billion seed round.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it all now. And that's in France.
That qualifies as robotics for me.
Well, there we'll see. Ligora, oh, your favorite. AI platform for lawyers tackling document review, drafting, and legal research, making $500 an hour associates nervous, one brief at a time.
Okay, they got me with that line.
Well, you're still going to get charged as an associate. So there you go. $500 million went to Ligora. But that's another thing. Junior associates, what are they going to do now?
And they're in Sweden. Look at that. The top 3, UK, France, and Sweden.
I know.
Look, that on anybody's bingo card?
Mind Robotics, robot foundation models for industrial environments, teaching machines to work alongside humans in factories and warehouses. So robotics again, that's $500 million. That's in USA. And next hop?
Yeah, I was like, next stop?
I was like, what? Next stop? Next hop? Networking infrastructure optimized for AI workloads because all those GPUs need to talk to each other really, really fast. So This is a simplified version of who got
$500 million. You get some money. You get some money. Oprah's just throwing out the money everywhere right now.
I mean, this is crazy. So robotics is hot again. That's good. Europe is on the map. Insane seed rounds. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the thing rolls on. It's we're seeing a lot more of the GPU infrastructure and training large models at scale. We're seeing a lot of that model repeated like a rubber stamp. And, I guess that's the thing. We had Jensen Huang at NVIDIA's, their big event, sort of like the Apple developer event that used to be a big popular thing. NVIDIA had an event like that. And Jensen Huang, he was like gushing over this tower of chips they had that were essentially doing this. Like a lot of focus is on this right now. I truthfully don't understand that very well. But clearly there's a lot of movement in that direction just based on the funding. Like we're seeing huge growth there. So it's gone beyond just the data center. Now it's on optimizing how the data center works.
Crazy.
The initial run was building the data centers, and now we're trying to make what's there better. So, and then we got the advanced machine intelligence type stuff with, robotics, sensors, using all that stuff, having AIs get that data and then make decisions on that data or take action based on that data.
Funding in AI is definitely not going anywhere yet. So it's here to stay. So what's your big takeaway from today? What can our viewers walk away with?
I think if there is any fear that you guys have about stepping into some of these environments because they seem more technical, and like I said, AI is draped in this veneer of like high tech, you got to just push through that first wave. A tool like Claude Code seems very technical. It lives in the terminal. You get past that, and once you establish your workflow, you realize it's really just a chat interface where you're talking to this thing and can get what you want. And then once you kind of layer on some of these other power-ups, such as, constantly updating your own documentation, filling that out with stuff that's relevant to your company, your pursuits, exactly what you're trying to do. You're creating an environment that's you to the power of AI, which is another theme that we kind of expounded upon.
Yeah.
And so if just that initial technical hurdle is what's holding you back, I want you to start looking at what's on the other side of that, because paradise for you is on the other side of that. Like, it's like being on the outside of the theme park with no ticket and you're standing at the fence watching everybody on the inside have a lot of fun. You got to get on the inside of this thing. There's just too much there for you. Like there's too much there for you on the other side. If you've got any of these fears about job replacement, that kind of thing, like this is the antidote to that. This is how you fix that. So you hop on the other side, get with these tools, and there's all this flood of people like Boring Marketer who claim to be like low tech people who have crossed this divide and are now thriving and evangelizing it. Like he's motivated enough to share free materials and to kind of keep hammering this message of simplicity and low tech and all this stuff. It's real. You're doing it. You crush with AI, and it's not like you were a coder before.
Oh my God. I was kicking and screaming about the terminal. I was like, it was so scary.
Well, that's another reason, like they got Claude Operator, not Claude Code. Think of it as Claude Operator. Do you want to be a high-tech operator? I still have this image in my mind of like these cartoons from the 80s. There's always like the supervillain at this control panel with all these buttons and stuff. That's who I feel like I am with AI.
Well, and I think Ghosty helped me a lot. The terminal, it just looks like, I don't know, it looks more friendly, user-friendly. My big takeaway, as I'm building the curriculum, new training for up-leveling sales professionals with AI, I'm kind of seeing that it's whenever something feels like it's not for me or it's hard, I always have to remember, like, what am I doing? And then I start talking to Claude. I always say, I'm non-technical. I'm trying to do this. What do I do? How do I do this? And to me, the biggest, like my big takeaway is I'm not worried. Like I installed PageMortar by myself this week. I have my own hosting now. I did not ask you a single question about it. All I did is I talked to Claude on how to do this and walked me step by step about something that's very new, like PageMortar. It still knew how to do it because I fed it the documents that I got in onboarding or whatever. And so what I am getting out of this is whenever something is scary, because there's a lot of scary things right now, just lean into that and then ask Claude, what's my first step? What's my first step? What do I do next? What do I do next? Because whatever question you got, Claude will never judge you on your stupid question, because God knows how many stupid questions I've asked. And like it'll just keep answering. It'll just keep answering until it works. So there you go.
I love that, because I've watched my own process of getting through situations where I don't know the answer immediately. I've watched it completely change in the last year.
Yeah.
I remember what I was doing in March of 2025 to solve my problems, and the way I do it now looks nothing like that.
Yeah.
And that's incredible to me, because what I was doing in March 2025 was something I've been doing for 15 years. And overnight, it's different, and I'm way more effective. I have way less pain and frustration. It's really amazing. And the first point of contact, as you said, is an AI.
And for junior people, like for people that are just getting into their career started, if you're watching this right now and you're kind of hearing that there's a big gap, companies not hiring junior talent that much, this is your chance to go and learn how to upskill yourself with AI and start marketing yourself as AI-friendly professional, even if you have no experience, because that's going to give you a lot more chances of getting those interviews and getting hired, because that's what companies are looking for.
I'm going to drop a white pill here. If you're a junior, you should be pumped. You should be pumped, because if you learn like this vibe marketing workflow, if you learn some of this other leverage with Claude Code, that kind of thing, you're going to go in with like, it's like going to the bodybuilding show and you're jacked and everyone else is tiny.
Yep.
You're going to have the goods, and other people that stuck in these companies, they have a lot of friction between them and this outcome. They would literally have to say, screw everything else I'm doing. I'm going to go all in on this right now and learn it. And they're not going to do that, but you can.
Yep.
You have this incredible advantage off the starting line.
Yeah, go do that. All right, well, thanks everybody for being here with us. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for bringing the comments. And until next Friday, we'll see you then.
See you next week, gang.
Bye.